Hey everybody, we are back with a new episode of the Autistic Voice Project.
Hi
My
everyone.
name is Matt. My name is Matt Lowry, LPP. I practice in Kentucky. I'm an autistic guy. I study autism. I have an autistic son. We live the autistic life.
And I am Dr. Erin Findley. I'm a psychologist, autistic ADHD gifted here in Napa, California. And I'm super excited to be here co hosting this podcast.
Today we are going to talk about something that comes up a lot, and it is anxiety. But uh, while it has been known that autistic people do have a lot more anxiety than allistics, uh, it's a little confusing to a lot of people as to where that anxiety comes from. Because, Aaron, where does anxiety come from for allistics? Tell us about what these things are about neurotransmitters.
I mean, I don't know about the neurotransmitters. It's been a minute since I took my psychopharm class, but what I can tell you is that allistics often, by the way, allistics are non-autistic people for anybody who doesn't know the word.
Mm-hmm.
So anxiety for allistics is often an anticipation of the future. Something about an anticipated future that is negative or not preferred in some way, and it can be also linked to hypervigilance. Like if a person has experienced a trauma, they will have the a hypervigilant, anxious sort of perspective on what's going on, and kind of always be looking out, and so the nervous system is literally like primed for that fight or flight action. And so that's where allistics tend to get most of their anxiety and how they tend to experience it.
And there is a marked lack of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and all these other things that make everything run smoothly.
Mm.
And also, for definition, neurotypical people tend not to have distressing anxiety like that at all, because if you have chronic anxiety, that is a form of neurodivergence.
Right. Fun
But
fact.
for us, again, we have been studied for years, and I once worked in Louisville at a place, and I had a supervisor, and this supervisor, I did not come out to this supervisor because all of the ableism, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was doing autism evaluations, and we often butted heads over the autism evaluations, and she decided she needed to supervise all of my reports because they were quote unquote bad. So,
Ugh.
for instance, I refused to do testing that had quote unquote theory of mind because a lot
Oh
of people
god.
believe that we can't take the perspective of other people. That's nonsense. She couldn't take my perspective, so here we are.
Mm.
But one of the big things was I would often diagnose both autism and anxiety, or autism and depression, or autism and anxiety and depression. And this person once called me into her office and said that my reports had problems because I can't diagnose anxiety and autism, or depression and autism, because all
What?
autistic people are anxious and depressed all the time anyway. And I was like, yes, it's because of you. So,
What?
uh,
What? What? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
What?
yes, and this
Ugh.
woman was a doctor.
Yikes.
Yeah, uh, yeah.
So many bad
Well,
evaluations out there. So many
yeah.
bad ones.
So once again,
Sorry.
I've mentioned this several times on the other podcast. I feel really, really bad at the garbage I was forced to write. So
Yeah.
if at any point I've given you a bad report, I'll give you a discount for redoing it because I apologize for the garbage. So, yeah, I have the freedom to do things better now. But that's the thing about the anxiety, because we autistic people tend to be bottom up processors.
Hmm.
We tend to take in a lot more data than neurotypical people. Research shows that we take up to 42% more information at rest. And we've got brain scans that shows all of our neurons lighting up in different areas and all kinds of neat stuff. But The downside of all this is that we have a lot of that anticipatory anxiety to a level that allistics could not dream of.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been researchers were again okay, so again, due to ableism, there are a lot of people doing research on autism who are either not autistic or not aware that they're autistic, because who loves research? Autistic people. So we, up until recently, there was no specific autistic anxiety issue. Until a few years ago, the Japanese discovered a thing that they called predictive validity, where we essentially run full simulations inside our heads. And we'll be in the argument simulator, the shower, and we will run through our entire
or
day.
the car.
Or the car, or or just standing in a corner, as
Right.
one does.
Also, like you do.
And we will run through all of the details of an interaction, and we'll say, and I will go up to Bob, and I will say, "Hello, Bob. How are you?" And Bob will say, "I'm fine. How are you?" And I will say a funny anecdote to be determined, and then we will both chuckle for a bit, and then I will ask about Bob's Aunt Martha, and Aunt Martha is probably still alive. If not, make a note to self. And we use this whole thing to plan out our interactions, and we plan out how the day is going to go, and we plan out what we're going to eat, how it's going to taste, and then when things do not go according to the plan, in bold italics TM, we have issues.
Yeah.
So again, the Japanese found out that this was predictive validity. Further autism research in the U.S. calls this, quote unquote, distinct anxiety, which is the worst name ever, because distinct from what? Distinct
from normal people's anxiety, obviously.
Exactly. So this is the thing. A friend of mine who is an admin of our group, Autistic Connections, on Facebook. Her name is Kat Flora. She is a psych student. She was on the old podcast. She will be on the new podcast. She will be here and joining us at some point, probably to talk about predictive validity. Anyway, the label that she gave it is expectation sensitivity dysphoria, because it is all about our expectations and how we plan things are going to go. And when the discrepancy from what is planned versus what actually happens is big enough, it can cause full-on meltdown. Daily stuff can add up over the course of a day, over the course of a week, over the course of a lifetime. Oh man, what's the Friends theme song? Life never told. No one ever told you life is going to be this way.
Be this way.
Clap, clap,
Yeah.
clap, clap. Yeah.
Right.
Or you're driving in a beautiful car with a beautiful house and a beautiful wife, and you wonder, how did I get here? Because we need to work on expectation. And I find this a lot with my son, that we have to build buffer zones into the expectation, because then the buffer zone is expected. There is an expected of variance. Me, as a therapist, my day is pretty much scheduled chaos, because I schedule this person will be at this time, this person will be at this time, this person will be at this time. What's going on with this person? Who knows? There may have been a yak attack. Who's going with this person? Fires. Always fires. So I am able to handle the variation in my life by controlling a lot of the other variables. I'm sitting here in a nice chair. Yes.
The other thing too, though, is like when we set up a time to be unpredictable, we like when we plan that's an unpredictable window, we have generally more ability to cope with that being unpredictable. Like, if I'm doing something and I know that we're going on a vacation, and on that vacation we're going to do some stuff and we're kind of going to play it by ear, then if I go into the vacation with that expectation, then as I'm flexing to meet the the ebb and flow of the vacation, I'm generally okay. The thing that people don't often, and the thing that allistic people don't often recognize, and sometimes autistic people too, is that there's a cost to that, right?
Yes, tell us about that.
When you're choosing to be flexible, right? Like when you're choosing to go, when we as autistic people, I should say, are choosing to go into a scenario with the expectation of needing to be flexible, it costs double the spoons. Now, for those of you who don't know spoon theory, I'm going to encourage you to Google it. It was originally written by Christine Miserandino to help her explain chronic illness to a friend. They were in a college cafeteria. Spoons were the easy thing to grab up and show. But spoons roughly translate into resources. You could also call them hit points. You could also call them,
I like hit points because I grew up with the Pokemon. And
right?
you
So
start
you
off
go.
with a certain amount of hit points, and you either make it back to a Poke Center to recharge, or you
Right.
faint.
And we don't always get the same number of spoons every day, especially for those of us with chronic illness in addition to
Yes.
being autistic. We often have unpredictable numbers of spoons each day. So I don't know that I'm going to have enough spoons tomorrow to do the thing that I am planning to do unless I make a deliberate effort to save up some spoons today. And if you're constantly operating at a deficit by being flexible, instead of being able to relax into that predictability, you're going to get, that's a fast track to burnout.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why when I do trainings, I always plan a day of recovery afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to be blown out. I love doing trainings. I love offering information to people, and I know it costs me. So I save up, I do the thing, and then I plan a day of rest so that then when I have to go back to my regular duties, I actually have more spoons back in my bank. Anyways, Go ahead, Matt.
The unknown physically, emotionally, mentally hurts us.
Yes.
And this is the reason why, again, one of the most autistic movies ever made is 1989's Tim Burton's Batman. Because Tim Burton is openly autistic. And when he was making the movie of Batman, he pitched this to Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton says, "Oh, I like this. He's a weirdo. I like playing the weirdo. Let's do this." And so Tim Burton talked with Sam Hamm, and they reworked Batman a wee bit so that Batman was a recluse who lives in his basement, and his butler throws parties for him because he doesn't want to be around the people. And he kind of waits around until chaos shows up. And Joker is the representation of chaos. Joker is pure chaos. He doesn't have a mental disorder. He is just chaos. And they changed Batman's origin from a random burglar killing Batman's parents to Joker, the embodiment of chaos, killing Batman's parents. So therefore, Batman becomes the embodiment of order. So order versus chaos. And Tim Burton, as an autistic man, had to deal with John Peters, who was also the living embodiment of chaos. If you want to learn more about that, check out the history of the Wild Wild West, because, oh my God. But that's the thing. We do not deal well with the chaos. No. On the vacations, I went to Disney World, and my ex said, "Yes, my mother will go to a Disney bus and just go to whichever bus appears first." And each of these buses goes to a different park. You don't know which bus is going to appear at what time. She very much enjoyed the chaos. She would say,
there
"Hey,
are
come
some
over
people
for."
who thrive on it.
We call these people ADHD.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the thing about a cross-neurotype relationship, meaning that if one person is autistic and the other person is ADHD, one person might really, really thrive on order, whereas the other person thrives on a very big lack of structure. So one is a rock and the other is a chaos goblin. What is up with that? How do you get a common ground between those?
Well, working with mixed neurotype couples is one of my specialties. And
So I hear.
Right? And it's it's really important for people to understand their own brain style when they're in a mixed neurotype couple. I actually think it's important for everybody to understand their own brain style. And when I say brain, I don't just mean the organ up here. I actually mean your whole like nervous system, your entire sensorium. That like none of us got a user's guide, and wouldn't it have been nice if we had gotten one, right? Anyway,
that's why I went into psychology.
Right. Well, and actually, I'm actually building something like that. So stay tuned. It's a way for people to start to understand their own neurotype from the inside out. It's not a therapy tool. It's a self-reflection tool. Anyways, but I'm going to come back to that at another time. But anyways, with mixed neurotype couples, sometimes the thing they need most is someone to sit there and talk to them about, how does your brain do this? Right? Like I had a conversation with one of my couples not too long ago where I asked them how they experienced the flow of time.
Ooh,
right?
That's a good one.
Right? Isn't that a great one? Because especially with ADHDers, and at least one other member of the couple was diagnosed with ADHD, like there's can be a sense of now and not now, but sometimes time doesn't have any other orientation than that for ADHDers. Where I, as an ADHDer, which is a mixture of autistic and ADHD, for those who don't know, I tend to feel a flow of time almost all the time, except when I'm in those hyper-focus moments.
Monotropic focus, you say?
Yes, indeed. Monotropic focus.
When you get sucked into the zone.
Yeah, when I get sucked into the zone, and I'm going down that rabbit hole, and I'm just having the grandest time doing it, because, who doesn't, right?
This
when they're
the
going
way.
down that rabbit hole. Those moments, like, I can completely lose track of time. I can also do the it's just one more thing until I'm 20 minutes late. I have learned to counteract that kind of manually with a manual override, but earlier on in my life that was a real problem. Anyways, so going back to couples work, like just the simple question of how do you each experience time? And what are your struggles with time, and what are your strengths with time? Right? That's alone,
a big one.
Right? That alone can unlock so much, because the trick there is, if I don't know that you're experiencing time differently than I do, or if I don't know that you're experiencing planning around chores differently than I do, or if I don't know that you lack the interoceptive signals to notice your blood sugar is getting low, like all of these things will impact how we interact. And if that doesn't happen, like if we don't know that about each other, then we don't have a way to say that it's anything other than a feature of the relationship.
With
right?
Hashtag
feature
quotation marks. Yes,
exactly, big quotation marks. So if you and I are out of sync, and I don't know, like if we're in a couple and you're coming home late all the time, and you're an ADHDer, and I don't know that your flow of time is now or not now, right? Then when you come home late every night, I'm gonna start getting upset, thinking you don't care about me. But that is in fact not what's happening, right? Yeah. And if our couples therapist is able to talk to us about, hey, you have this flow of time, you have this flow of time, and it's not that you all don't each have a responsibility to the relationship, because you do, right? But you each have difficulties to overcome. When that happens, now we've got to unpack what it is. And it's most of the time, it's not about the connection. It's not about the attachment. It's about an underlying neurotype difference that has not been named. And when that happens,
different languages from different cultures.
Right. Neurocultures.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, our
Because that's a neat word.
right, and I don't think I can take credit for coining it. I'm sure other people have used it, but it's the idea that you know, social cultures come from different beliefs and different ways of experiencing the world. Like within a group, it's clustered, right? You have groups of people who have similarities, and you have different, like, similar ways of looking at different aspects of life, like collectivism versus individualism, or you have
Monochronic versus polychronic.
right. You have different ways of processing the world that are shaped by language and by the way things have evolved in the culture in that area. And also, like, if you live in a multicultural area with a blend of influences, but also our brains influence language as much as language influences our brains, right?
This is true.
So
again, the Inuit have many, many words for snow, whereas we are just
right.
uncultured swine.
Right, exactly. So me in Napa, California, who has seen snow only when I visit it intentionally, right? I have one word for snow. Snow, sleet, ice, powder. I mean, like, okay, maybe like 4 or 5 different words related to water and weather, right?
In Kentucky, we refer to it as the fluffy doom from above.
The fluffy doom from above. Nice.
Yes. We can't drive on it. It just causes people to freak out, and we have to buy up all the bread and milk immediately. Otherwise, the snow will get it.
Okay.
It's a weird culture.
Yeah. People, we don't have a word for it because we don't have it enough. I mean, I cannot remember. I've lived in Napa for 7 years now, and I don't think it's ever snowed here.
Yeah, it snows very briefly, and then people all scream and then crash into each other.
Right. People do that
Yeah.
with rain around here because when it rains, people lose their minds.
Of course.
Anyways, so our social environment affects our culture, but our nervous systems also affect our social environment and how we perceive things, which then shapes our culture. And so if we have a nervous system that is an underlying autistic set of wiring, or an underlying set of ADHD wiring, our behavior is going to be shaped in a certain set of ways that collectively becomes a culture, even though it's not culture in the traditional sense of, Black culture or Italian culture or Chinese culture or what have you, right?
Or deaf culture, because deaf culture with
Or
a
deaf
capital
culture,
D is a
right?
big one.
And deaf culture is actually a great example of culture that's not ethnically or geographically bound, and yet still there are distinct and clearly identified cultural elements because of how deaf people experience the world, right? And I'm not an expert on deaf culture, but I can say enough to say that their culture, is, strongly influenced and shaped by their sensory experience of the world. Well, so is ours.
And that's the thing, because a big point in deaf culture is cochlear implants, because there are some deaf people who would say, I would prefer to not be deaf. I would like this. And there are other people who say, I am proud to be deaf because we have this culture. We have this way of, interacting with the world. And it is a bone of contention. And this relates to us because there are a lot of allistic and neurotypical people out there who want to, quote unquote, fix us. And when it comes to cross-neurotype relationships, we run into a thing called Cassandra's syndrome.
Ugh.
We on the old podcast, we had a few episodes that are considered lost media. One of these episodes was an interview with the quote-unquote relationship experts from Love on the Spectrum.
Oh, I bet that was interesting.
That's exactly the reaction. Yeah. There was a man and a woman.
Oh,
the woman
dear.
was delightful. The man made the woman go sit in the closet because she was too close to him. So we had the woman and I had a delightful conversation. She went to Bardstown one time, stayed at the Jailer's Inn, got to see a demon, as one does in Bardstown because we have a demon in the Jailer's Inn. A demon, yes. It's a long story about Bardstown and how the ghosts and the demons there. But she got to see the demon, and we had a delightful conversation. But the guy, he was very adamant about, let's say, neurotypical supremacy.
Oh.
And I asked him
Can we just say
about,
blanket that supremacy of any kind is shitty?
Yes. We don't we want
Can we just accept it
and
as a given?
understanding. Yes.
Yes.
So we talked about how, he introduces people and how autistic people should date, and how autistic people you should always get permission from your parents to date. And I was like, so what about adults? And it's like, well, adults have to live with their parents. And I'm like, I don't live with my parents and I'm autistic. What is up
I
with
don't
this?
live with my parents and I'm autistic.
And I asked him about, so what about sex? And he said, well, autistic people don't have sex. And
Really?
this is why, this is what got me to get our friend, Dr. Cade Sharp, on to talk about autistic kink. And we'll have him on the show in a few weeks. Probably in September when his schedule clears up, because he's a good friend of ours. We've known him for years. And
I was his dissertation advisor.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
That's right.
So you know about this. You know that the autistic people have the sex.
I do.
Yeah.
I've even, rumor has it that I might have even had some myself.
Yeah, I had a child somehow, so, weird things.
I'm sure it was the stork that brought the child.
Exactly. But when I asked him about Cassandra syndrome, he did not know what that was.
Oh, God.
So tell us about Cassandra syndrome and why that is a bad thing for cross-neurotype couples.
Okay. I'm going to need to slow down a little bit here because I'm going to put my words... This is me being completely autistic. I'm not trying to be careful with my words, but I don't think in words. So I need...
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right? Fun. So I don't think in words. I think in abstract concepts. And so sometimes when I'm trying to explain something that's more complex, I will need to pause and not be interrupted to put my concept, to map my concept accurately to words, because precision is important to me. So it's not because I'm trying to be right.
Yeah,
it's not because I'm trying to be delicate.
Pedantic. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they can.
They can. But this is probably a good time to take a break because because we are at the half-hour mark and our new podcast is a half hour. So unfortunately for you listeners, what may seem like minutes for us might be an entire week for you. But,
and we're sorry, but also
that
not.
said, please come back and join us next week for the mystery of Cassandra syndrome and how the idea that ambiguous concepts might only have crystalline form once shot out our mouth holes. Because that is a big way that we work. So we will see you next week. Have a good one, and tune in for more autistic anxiety, cross-neurotype relationships, and the mystery of Cassandra syndrome.